Now that we have an assignment inside of Google Classroom, let's talk about the workflow and how we can view those assignments and being able to connect with our students formatively. One of the really great things about Google Classroom is it allows me to stay connected to my students from the beginning of the assignment right all the way through to the end. It organizes it by the student name. We can have class comments where kids can ask questions and we can have a discussion. And of course, there's private comments where you can give feedback to your students and they can speak directly just to you. So let's take a look inside of one of these assignments to be able to establish that workflow. When you go to your classwork tab, one of the things that you can do is when you're first viewing one of these assignments, when I view it as a teacher, I first of all see just a bit of an overview there when I'm looking at it inside of my classwork tab. I can see how many have turned it in, how many have I assigned it to, and of course I can view the assignment. When I say view the assignment as a teacher, it actually opens up an assessment view for myself. So I can go through and I can see all of my students inside of my classroom. And what will happen is I can also see who's even opened this up. So I know that these students have opened up and started at least looking at this template, where I have some students who haven't even begun it yet. At any point, I could click on any one of my students to be able to see inside of their work. When I click on the student's work, this is actually this student's live work right now. And so I'm actually considered an editor of their work when I'm in here. A couple of things that I can do is I can see in real time how the student is doing. I'm going to be able to give them a grade if it was a graded assignment. And of course, I can add some private comments here. What's great about the private comments is that I can have this be text-based comments that I type out. It could be a link to a video that I've made. And there's even a comment bank where I could go ahead and I could add those commonly used comments that I say over and over and over again, and I can have that there. We're going to have more videos upcoming when it comes to things like being able to use a comment bank. But for now, any comment here I could be able to have with the student and give them some feedback on their work. When I go ahead and type that private comment, I can post it. And now my student is going to be seeing that inside of their assignment on the Google Classroom. When I want to be able to change around who I'm assessing, I can click the arrow beside the student's name. And of course, I could scroll through my students and be able to look at whose ever assignment I want. I can scroll simply by going into the next student in line. It makes it very, very easy to be able to work with the student. If the student had handed something into you, you could go ahead and also hit the return button. But note that students don't have to finish it or hand it in before you can go in and look at the student's work formatively. Private comments, keep in mind only that one particular student will see those private comments. If you want to be able to see the rest of the class comments, when you're in the assignment instead of student work, you're going to click on instructions. That's where you would see the class comments that have been made about the assignment. You can also add a class comment yourself. Again, just like inside the stream, if there was ever a comment that you wanted to be able to delete, you could, or if you needed to mute a student, you also could do this from here. Another great way to see student work is not only having to go through each one of the different assignments. One thing you can do is see a single student view. If you click on the people and you scroll down to one of your students, and I'm just going to scroll down to my son. So if I was to scroll down, I could go ahead and look at that student, and I'm going to see all of Simon's work in one spot. So I'm not having to search through all of my different assignments to see everything that has been assigned, turned in, or missing for Simon. So at any point, again, I could click on the assignment and I'm going to see I made a private comment. I can see his template, his work right here. I could click on and look at. And of course, I can view the details. And it will simply take me back into the details section of that student work. Let's take a look for a moment what this would look like from the student view of things. When I click on the student, and I'm in right now as a student, when they get to their Google Classroom, they would go to their classwork tab. They would be able to go into their assignment. and they'd be able to view the assignment. This is what the student view looks like. They're going to see all of the instructions written out for them. They're going to see the video that I've attached to them. They're going to have the class comments right in front of them. And as well, any templates or work that I have attached for them, they would be able to click on. It would open up that template right there. When the student is done, they would be able to click Turn In. What the Turn In button does is it locks it out for editing so that it takes the teacher hitting the return button for them to be able to continue editing. But again, students don't need to hit the Turn In button in order for you to be able to see their work. If you've provided students with some work to do and you haven't given them a template, one really important thing to show students how to do is to make sure that they're using the Add or Create button inside of the assignment of Google Classroom. I would hit Add or Create, and from here, I could make a new Google Doc, for example. What will happen is it's again going to be saved for me in my Google Drive with my name on it, all ready to go for my teacher with the name of the assignment on it. Now my teacher is already going to have access to this. If you have students that want to be able to hand in images or videos, go ahead and click Add or Create, and now they can add the image or the video from their Google Drive. Or if they're using the Google Classroom app on their phone, they can use the Add or Create to have an image or a video straight from their camera roll. When we're creating these different types of assignments for our students, it is also important to note to be very cautious about not assigning things that require them to print something and complete it at home. One, we're assuming that parents and families have a printer with ink and paper. Also, as soon as they have to print it and complete it by hand, now what is the method of handing it in to you? Are they taking a picture of it and uploading it to the Google Classroom? How's that going to happen? So make sure that's part of the instructions if that is the expectation. So just remember that teachers do not have the student view of Google Classroom. So it is helpful if you can join a Google Classroom as a student, such as some of our model Google Classrooms. That way you can show your students the student view of what they're seeing.